Hey everybody, it's Carol with Refunction Crafts, and I'm here to bring you another tutorial on a resin project that I'm going to be doing. And this will be a step-by-step video. And so the first part that I'm going to show you here is I'm going to mix my resin. I'm going to be using these two molds. This is my supplies. I'm going to be using these two molds for this portion of the video. I'm going to mix my resin in these little plastic cups that I buy from the Dollar Tree. They come in a big package of like 20 of them, and these are amazing for mixing small amounts of resin, especially if you're doing it by volume rather than weight, because you can see through them to measure the resin. And then we're going to use this popsicle stick to stir with. So I'm just going to get started right away. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my resin. This is part A. This is a 2-part epoxy resin. This part here is part A. This is actually the epoxy resin, as you'll see right here. And then the second part is going to be part B, and we want equal amounts of both. Don't get more of part B than part A, because if you do, your resin will be sticky and you won't have the consistency, and it won't cure the way that you're wanting it to. I'm sorry, I have to get down below my desk here so that I can see that I'm getting these even. Just need a couple more drops of B and we are good. So these are completely even in each cup. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour part B into part A, and we're going to mix this up to get our base resin. And what I'm going to be doing today is we will be doing, like I said, we're going to be doing this in parts. And the reason that I say that is I'm going to layer the resin in this video. I'm going to show you probably the best way to do these pendants and things that I do in resin to get the best results. And I don't always do this. Sometimes I get ahead of myself and I want to finish my projects a little bit faster, so I do it a little differently, and I don't do it in layers. So I end up with occasionally where when I'm putting things into the resin, because I'm not putting down a first layer that I'm curing and letting get hard before I put any more in, then I am ending up with things poking through the resin, and then I can't use that piece, I can't sell it, I can't do anything with it except maybe use it for myself, which is fine because I have done that. It doesn't bother me to have a piece that maybe has a little flaw in it or what have you, but as far as selling my pieces, I don't want to put a piece in my shop, in my Etsy store, that is subpar. So I try to make sure that I get it, you know, only the best pieces that I put in my shop. Other pieces end up sitting on my desk, and I use them. Sometimes what I'll do is if I have a piece that didn't come out exactly perfect, those will be my free gift pieces that I use to give my customers when they purchase from my shop. Because if you know my Etsy shop, or if you've ordered from me in the past, you know that whenever somebody orders from my store, I always give a free gift with every purchase. Sometimes those gifts are something very small. Sometimes they're actually something that's pretty darn cool, that, you know, I just randomly kind of pick what gifts I'm going to be sending out. And sometimes those cool gifts go out with the cheaper orders. Sometimes they go out with the higher orders. It just depends, and I just kind of pick and put it in there. But I always give a decent gift. So it's never anything silly or stupid. It's always something that I think someone will enjoy, and I kind of try sometimes to base it on the items that they've already ordered, and sort of go from there as far as what their style might be. I'm sure I don't always get it right, and sometimes they're probably ordering gifts for somebody else, and maybe they'll throw that extra little gift in with whatever they're giving to another person. Now I'm mixing this resin up. You have to mix it for 2 to 3 minutes to make sure that it's completely mixed, and you want it to be as clear as it can be. Now this is not actually crystal clear, and the reason for that is because there's a lot of bubbles in there. Those bubbles, we will be getting rid of those in the process, but for now, we've got this completely mixed, and here are our molds, and I'm just going to I'm going to set that aside there. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit closer up on this mat here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I have my 2 molds, and I'm just going to fill, I'm actually literally going to fill all of these cavities, or as many as this resin will cover, with this clear resin. And that's all we're going to be doing right now, is working with clear resin, and we're just going to put a layer of resin down in each of these that we're going to be using. So hopefully I've mixed up enough, and it looks like I've got a piece of hair in this one, and I don't want hair in my project. Maybe it's on the other side. I think it is. Yeah. Okay, it was on the back side. Okay, so now we're going to just go ahead and we're going to start putting a very, very thin layer in each one of these cavities here for the mold. And you see how thin this layer is going to be on each one of them. I'm just going to lay down a base to get started with. And we're going to let this cure. And that way, once it cures, then we've got a piece in the front of this, these pendants that's not going to allow anything else to poke through. So that's the purpose for doing this extra layer at the bottom of these molds. And now we're going to go over to this one, and we're going to try and fill these with a small layer. And I I may be putting too much in some of these because I really want this layer to be very, very thin, because I don't want to take up space that I can be using to put other things in there once I'm ready to fill my pendants. So I really only need just a very little bit of resin in each one of these. And we're going to get our little stick here, and maybe, let's see, maybe we'll go for this kind of odd shaped one over here. And we'll put a layer down there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of move this resin around and make sure it's covering that entire bottom section of the pendant. And this is actually a self-leveling resin, but because I'm putting such a thin layer, it's not moving real quickly around the piece. So I'm just going to kind of help it along here so that we get it evenly coated all the way around on these molds. This one's good. This one seems pretty good. Now this one, we just need to kind of move it over that way. But as you can see, it's very easy to just kind of move the resin around, get it leveled, and we're going to have a nice thin coat to work with when we start adding our goodies. Once this starts to cure a bit and harden enough that whatever I put on top of this resin here will not go through. So I'll probably let this sit. I may actually let it sit for a good majority of the day, probably about 8 hours. Because oddly enough, with resin like this, when you're curing your resin, the smaller the amount that you're using, the longer it takes to cure. So if you've got a bigger piece and you're using more resin, it's actually literally going to cure faster if it's a bigger piece than if it's these small little pieces. These will come out sort of sticky and gooey if you take them out too soon. So just a little FYI for those of you that are just getting started working with resin. That's a piece of information that's very beneficial for you. You want to make sure that you cure everything long enough so that you can work with it. And, you know, we're not going to be, once this cures in here, you know, at the bottom, we're not going to be taking it out. We're just going to be laying stuff on top of it. And, you know, I just know we're going to get a much better piece by doing this. And like I said, this is something that I did not do in my last video, and I should have, because it's the right thing to do. And when I'm teaching this stuff, I need to be teaching the proper way to do things instead of my rushed process. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more mindful of that in future tutorials, especially where resin is concerned, because it's although, you know, my things have turned out perfectly fine, they've come out really, really nicely. I still feel like, you know, when I'm teaching this, I need to be teaching the proper way to do everything. And now what we're going to do now is we've got this layered in the bottom of most of these. Oh, I didn't get any in the little tiny puzzle piece. So let's see which one of these might have some extra. I think this one's got the most extra. I have one that's a little puzzle piece here, and it's super cute. And I always forget about it. But I would like to do one in that as well. So let's make sure we get some resin lining the bottom of this one too. And maybe take a little out of here. And we don't want to get too much in this puzzle piece because it's super tiny too. So, okay. So now what we have here is, and you can probably see it here on the green, where this is sort of covering the green here. I'm going to go a little closer in on that and show you. You can see here where there's bubbles, those white, that white looking stuff, that's bubbles in the resin. And so I'm going to take my little torch here that I bought at one of my little dollar stores, and I'm going to, you can see how that goes, and I'm just going to go in here and see those bubbles popping. That's what takes those bubbles out, is heat. So I'm just going to run that little torch. I'm going to actually move out a little bit here and move this back over. And I'm going to torch the rest of these and get all of those bubbles out of there. And I will do this For probably the next hour or so, I'll do this about every 15 minutes, every 10 or 15 minutes, just to make sure that any bubbles that start to float to the top get popped and don't stick around to make this a really hazy project. We want to get out all the bubbles that we can to make the project as clear as we can get it, especially on this first layer. Now there are times when you want to purposely put maybe some bubbles in the resin if you're doing like a little underwater scene or something. I don't generally do that in mine. I find beads or whatever that I can use to give the bubble effect. But there are times when, if you can get the right bubbles, I don't know how to create the bubbles in the resin to make them perfect, but there are people that know how to do that and do it well and create some really cool stuff just with the natural bubbles in the resin. Okay, so I've done all of that. So once this has cured, I'm going to give it about 8 hours. Once it's cured, I'll come back and I will do the rest of the video. Okay, so we had a little mishap and my video did not work out so well, but so you guys didn't get the part where I put all these lovely things into my molds, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what I came out with anyway. So I'm just going to kind of show these to you. This is one that is super cute, and it says "All Good Things Are Wild and Free" by Henry David Thoreau. I don't know. Anyway, it's super duper cute. It's a little frog with the saying, and then I've got glitter in behind it. And this is the reason that I poured clear over the front, you guys, so that I wouldn't cover this part and the frog with the glitters and the color. So that's the purpose for that. Here's another one. This is sort of a steampunk piece. Very glittery. Hopefully these are coming into focus. I think I'm going to pan out just a tad because it seems like we may be too close. Okay, so here's a little steampunk piece. And hopefully you can catch the sparkle. It sparkles like crazy. And then I'll put this one up one more time so that you can see it maybe a little more clearly. It seems to be a little more in focus, a little bit panned out. So there's that one. This one, just a silly one, a roller skate and a key. And if you're as old as dirt like I am, you'll know the significance of the key and the roller skate. And then this one is gorgeous. It's a stingray that I got at Hobby Lobby. And let me put it down here a little bit. It's a stingray that I got at Hobby Lobby, and then I just put kind of some moss down here, and then the sparkles, and then some little pearls that look like bubbles in there. Let me see if I can get it a little more close up so you can kind of see the pearls a little bit. But this turned out really, really pretty. I'm really, really happy with this one. This one's super cute. It's a cat and a bird enjoying each other's company. Super cute. And these are all set up to be, they have a hole at the top, and they're set up to be pendants. This one is a fish. And I sort of covered this fish with glitter. And then there's some moss in there, and then some glitter off to the side. It really is very pretty. And this is another fish swimming in a sea of glitter and moss, and then there's the blue background. Lots of glitter. And these things, you guys, I'm really not sure how well you can see the sparkle, but they really sparkle a lot. And I don't have sparkles in all of them. Just some of them. Yeah, this one's just a little pair of scissors and a comb for the hairdresser in your life. And this one's too cute. It's a toothbrush and toothpaste. And this was sent to me by a friend of mine who sent me a whole bunch of charms and things. And so I have a whole bunch of these little toothpaste tubes and toothbrushes. And so I decided I needed to use that in one of my charms. So I did. This one's just a few little plumeria flowers. This one has no sparkles. It's just the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, something. Yeah. And then we've got these two, which are kind of matchy-matchy. These are the little heart molds. So they're kind of a set, and they are a set of tea for two. And these have sort of a pink, they're mostly clear, but they have a pink tint to the background as well. But they're really, really pretty. I like these two very much. So that's what they look like. Okay, and then I have these three little ones here. I'm just going to put them all on my hand at the same time. Actually, four. And that's what they all look like. This one has some beads in it and some little polymer clay roses, and then a little bit of moss. And then this one has a little, it's actually a embroidered flower that's in this one. And then we have, of course, the snail. And then we have this one that also has an embroidered flower in it. So that's it, you guys. That's what I made for this video. And then I'll show you really quick. I'm working on a new clock design. I don't have it done, but I'm working on it. And it's going to have a light in it like the other one. Let me pan out a little bit because it's kind of big. So this is what I'm working on right now. And this is just a little mantel clock. And I put the lights in it like I did with the bird. And I decorated the little Christmas tree on the inside. We've got diamond dust on the inside. I don't know if you can see the sparkle right now. But anyway, I'm working on putting an image on the inside of this and doing some other stuff. I'm not going to do a video on this one. Just because I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do with it. So I decided I just wanted to work on this one slowly and make it nice. So for now, I guess that's it, you guys. And I thank you for watching and hope you have a blessed day. And I'll be back soon with another video. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button below and the notification button if you'd like to be notified when I do new videos. And I'm going to try and start doing more videos, at least one per week. I have a little bit more time now to do that, so I will be working on doing that for you guys, and so that you'll have a day. Hopefully I can get a day figured out when I'm going to post my videos. So that you know what day to go in and check. So anyway, I thank you for watching and hope you all have a really blessed day and a blessed week. And I will be back soon with another video. Take care. Bye-bye.